my swag and play the fool, babe. Just play the game and hold on, maybe. But I'm done with the waiting, done with the waiting. I'm done with playing nice. Now look me in the eyes. Tell me, tell me, tell me what you see inside. Not gonna ask you twice. Not looking for your lies. Tell me, do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Do you wanna go? Those who wanna play by the rules and a blast with nothing to obtain. So let's level up to remain. 'Cause I'm done with the waiting, done with the waiting. I'm done with playing nice. Now look me in the eyes. Tell me, tell me, tell me what you see inside. Not gonna ask you twice. Not looking for your lies. Tell me, do you wanna go? 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 I'm riding away tonight. Gonna try it while the world's bright. Got room for one if that's alright. That's alright. Do you wanna go? 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 Do you wanna go?
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know. Certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
Hello everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy Archetypes Tuesday. How excited is everybody today? Oi, star emoji in the chat if you have listened, if you have absorbed, if you have been fed. Oh my goodness. I am simultaneously speechless and I have so much to say. Oh my goodness. Stars in the chat, please. And welcome to the podcast, everyone. I have put the link in the chat if you want to drop in and have your 2 cents. Please hit the link. So much to talk about today, and I'm sure that you have a lot that you want to say as well. But don't forget to hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. So how are we feeling, everyone? Let's see your comments. Oh, today's going to be a hell of a chat, isn't it? 500 in the chat. Let's see. Yes, Simone, hope you're having a wonderful day too. Are we all having a wonderful day? Thank you so much to the mods. You're going to be doing the Lord's work today. So I'm just gonna get through everything. Thank you to anyone who's joining the chat at the moment. Also, if you want to call in live, just a reminder to switch off your camera, please. Audio only. And I'm going to get through the bulk of the stories, um, other stories that I need to talk about, then give a little bit of commentary, and then I'll allow you to come on and give your 2 cents at the end. So please do hold on for us. Yes, Elaine, she really is stunning. 41? Where is the 41? Like, wow. Absolutely wow. Flawless skin, natural face. You know, she really is just a natural beauty. I mean, you can see that she's wearing makeup, right? But it's very subtle. So, yes, Felicia, she looks absolutely fabulous. Modern, cool, relaxed, CEO, business lady, mama. And what an amazing podcast it was. What an amazing way to actually start a series. I believe there's going to be about a dozen episodes. And just an outstanding podcast. Everything that was said. Who's twerking in the chat? I saw someone twerking in the chat. Twerk in the chat, honey. Twerk away. And also some very surprising revelations, right? Some very surprising revelations, but we're gonna get through all of that. Chef of Sandy, I made your day posting it. Oh, I managed to post it within about 15 minutes of Omid posting it. So I usually actually keep an eye on Omid because I haven't set up my Google alerts yet. So I usually keep an eye on Omid, and then I usually repost from him. Jennifer, so excited and proud of Princess Meghan. So am I. Trolls are having heart attacks today, but today isn't about them. Right, I'm gonna get to the main story of the day, the podcast, in a moment, but let's get through some other things first. Let's do the housekeeping. Right. Owami Davies. This was the black student nurse who went missing. To everybody's surprise, and thank God though, she has actually been found. After 8 weeks, she has actually been found. And I've been reading the details of this story, and it is just shameful. Apparently, police had actually made contact with her at a certain point at the beginning of her disappearance, but they somehow let her go. And it was weeks before they really rang the alarm. There were several arrests because they thought maybe she had been murdered. But it seems to be perhaps a case of abduction. But over and over again, we just saw failings with this. At one point, I think they even released the wrong picture of her. There was a picture that was released that actually wasn't her. But 8 weeks is, I mean, she has defied the odds. Because if you know anything about missing persons cases, it's like the first 24 hours, the first 48 hours, and the first 72 hours. If you don't find them after that, you're really saying your prayers. So thank goodness she has been found, and I want to know. I want to know, you know, how she could have been kind of lingering around for this long, and you know, no one, and at a certain point actually made contact with the police, and she still wasn't brought home safe and sound. But thank goodness, in the end, 8 weeks later, she is here. And thank you to everybody who raised the alarm and just, you know, tried to get the story out as much as possible, because there is just a very obvious difference between the way when, you know, a person of color goes missing. Thank you so much to Nutty Doctor. Oh, she says hi all to legs. Lucy, Elaine, Fancy, Churchy, Lydia. The podcast was natural and very human, and the standard awesome, out of this world. Yes. Do you know what I loved about it most? That it really did feel like a chat between friends. And then you had all of these amazing, the way they mix the sounds in between. Yes, Doris, this is amazing news. Situations like this never end well. Thank goodness she's alive. Beverly, the Met Police is just like some of ours here in the US, not worth the time of day. I want to say something else, but I don't want to get taken off of it there. Yeah. Brahini, where was she? Was she abducted? Well, these are all the questions that are going to be answered, hopefully. In other news, honey, the girls are fighting. The girls are fighting. The claws are out. Hoops are off. It would appear that the different palace rodents are being briefed by their masters. So you've got Richard Kay here with one article saying, how many homes can the slimmed down royals justify at a time of an exploding cost of living crisis affecting working families up and down the country? The use of additional properties looks clumsy and insensitive when referring to obviously William and Catherine. Now, I don't know why Richard Kay thinks this, if this is meant to make Charles look good, in comparison to William and Kate, well, at the end of the day, they all live in palaces, whether it's one palace, two palace, three palace, four. They still all live in palaces. They're still all incredibly well privileged in comparison to their peasant subjects. But you had another article in retaliation that came out and said why William is refusing to repeat the sins of his father by Dan Wooten. So obviously, either Dan Wooten is just rogue and stirring-ish, or someone in Kensington Palace asked him to brief against Clarence House. It's one or the other, maybe both. But the girls are fighting, y'all, and I love to see it. Let them fight with each other while we're in Montecito getting business done. Oh, thank you, Cornelia. I love to hear that you guys got it first from my channel. I do try to get things as quickly as possible. And yeah, as the cost of living crisis carries on, they announced that the kids are going to be going to a pretty plush school. No surprises there. I just don't know why they thought to actually make an official royal announcement about this. Just let the kids go to school. We know they're going to be privileged. We know that they're going to a school that is going to be costing lots of money. Meanwhile, there is sewage being thrown into the Thames, and pretty nicely depicted here in that picture. Beverly Wooten just told us that article that Willie, with that article that Willie is cheating. That K person thinks people are dum dums. I think they seem. Do you know what? They know that the royalists and monarchists who listen to everything that they say are dum dums and will believe anything they write. Meaningful. Why is it necessary to mention that he intends to be present for his children? Did something else happen that could threaten him being present for them? Yeah, I mean, they don't seem to be explaining why they need full homes. They seem to be avoiding wanting to explain that. But we know why. It'll all come out eventually. I don't need to say it here. Yes, Benjamin, I pointed this out in yesterday's podcast. How come when Harry and Meghan eyed Adelaide Cottage, it was described as lavish? When William and Kate decided on it, the home is described as humble. Blatant double standards, indeed. All right. Okay, that was pretty much all in terms of the other news. Now let's get on to the main story of the day. Archetypes is out. Let me tell you. My heart literally dropped when I saw it. I was just like, what? No way. Finally. Because for weeks I've done nothing but cry. Where is Archetypes? Oh, just a reminder, you can join the live chat. I'll post the link again, and actually, let me just pin it to the top. Okay, yeah, just hit the link, and I will let you join the live chat momentarily. So, first episode of Archetypes was with Serena Williams. They talked about motherhood. They talked about ambition and how ambition is sometimes spun into something negative when you are a very ambitious woman. They talked about different parts of Serena's career. Shout out to the creative team overall with this. the visuals. The visuals, amazing. Loving the color schemes, the green, very fresh. Loving the choice, pretty much choice of everything. Fonts, black and white and minimalist. And that's always been Megan's style with her projects, even going back to the TIG. The way the sounds were mixed, so you had a mixture of chats between Megan and Serena, and also extra audio that Serena and Megan narrated over. So the actual episode started with Megan talking about when she first started to realize that there were certain double standards, how she was seen as a young girl. And it went all the way back to that famous moment where she saw that ads, women all over America are fighting greasing pots and pans, and she decided to write that letter to Procter and Gamble. And we hear all of the audio from that, and she narrates over the audio. And I love this because it's really Megan telling her story from the beginning, right? Nobody else telling her story for her. And it's a story of her life that the Unroyal Mafia tried to erase. And it's like she said in her little promo video, and there are some video elements to the podcast as well. As of most podcasts nowadays, we'll be seeing a lot more of that, hopefully. She says, now it's time, for people to hear me and hear my voice. Let me actually just replay that again. If you weren't here at the beginning, let me just replay it
People should
again.
expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
Right? And this is what you don't get to be as a royal. You don't get to be yourself. Everything is filtered through the media. Everything is filtered through the firm. Everything is filtered um, through a fairy tale filter. And the reality just does not match up. Another thing that that Megan touched upon was she talked about when she first met Serena. And I actually did a video detailing when Megan and Serena met, and the whole journey of their friendship. And over again, we've seen over the years how the British tabloids have tried to paint this narrative that Megan only knew famous people when she became famous, when she's actually had famous friends for years. She's been very well connected for years. She's just clearly somebody that is very private about that part of her life and doesn't feel the need to, air it to everyone. So overall, I just thought the whole production, the talk, I won't go too much into every single detail, but for those of you who haven't listened to it yet, but overall just amazing. Really brightened up the week. Okay, I'll get into the probably the most troubling revelation of the podcast in a moment, but before I get to that, fashion. For those of you who are wondering, the top, it would appear, was from Anthropology, costing about £95. So relatively affordable, I think, for most people. They managed to ID it pretty darn quickly. I think she's wearing her Cartier bangle there and the Cartier tank watch. So if you have a few extra thousands, you can get the Cartier jewelry as well, but the top was £95. And also people who worked on the podcast have been coming out and just talking about how excited they are finally to be able to talk about it. There's this one individual called Melvin Dew, who was one of the creatives on the podcast, and it's great to see Archetypes having such a diverse team. Also, if you go to the Archwell website, as well as the podcast, there are also resources that accompany a lot of the talking points on the podcast. So uh, things like gender equity and the different organizations that Archwell is working with, National Women's Law Centre, Planned Parenthood, the Davies Institute on Gender in Media, um, also Inspiring Girls International, Marshall Plan for Mums, Archetypes, Gender Equity, which is in collaboration with Global Boyhood Initiative that works with men and boys to foster healthy masculinity, and also Project Healthy Minds. So incredible, not just an amazing podcast, but also resources for everybody to do their further reading. So just at every single stage of this production, they've really just thought everything well. Thought about everything in detail. Right, before I continue, let me get through your comments because you all have a lot to say. um, Hern, is it Herndon Davis and Karen, I will allow you to speak very, very shortly. So please hang on to me. Um, I will let you on in a moment. Legs, love the music. Yes, absolutely love the music as well. For those of us who are like sound editing techie geeks, this was just a joy to my ears, but I'm not going to sit here and bore you with production tidbits. I'm just going to fangirl in private about that. Um, Rahini, I would join the live, but I feel like the squad might be tired of hearing me from Baron. Well, I haven't listened to Baron's podcast yet, so I want to hear you, Rahini. Feel free to come on. Hello, everyone, if you're just joining the chat. Yes, Dorothy Ross, how are you? Megan does look wonderful. Yes, Andreen, I felt like I was at Megan's table as well, right? Just like she was right there with you, just having a conversation. Sharon, now Megan answered the haters' question why she is not with her husband. She's got work to do. Exactly. Does she have to be attached to his hip? Sylvia Duchess, when I saw your email this morning, I jumped out of bed. uh, FYI, for those of you who aren't signed up to the email list, link in the bio. I will hopefully be starting a newsletter in a few weeks. So just like fun regular updates. Beverly, Madam Duchess wanted to get it just right and was so on point. Yes, she absolutely was. Yes, Marina, it has a warm feel and vibe. Absolutely agree with you there. Let's scroll down a bit more. And it's just great to see Meghan back in her power again, you know? Thank you so much, Gloria C, for the super sticker. Oh, you're the best as well, Gloria C. Guys, don't forget to rate the podcast. Only 3.5k so far. Yes, make sure that you do go and rate the podcast. It helps with SEO and, well, it's already at number 1, but it will help keep it at number 1. And the trolls are going to mark it down anyway. So make sure you go and give it 5 stars. Alrighty. The most shocking revelation from the podcast. Archie and the fire in the room. So when Harry and Meghan were in South Africa, Meghan said that there was a fire in Archie's room. Thankfully, Archie was not in the room. The nanny had him at the time. There was no smoke detectors, so the smoke detectors did not pick up fire. It was just picked up because people, smelt the smoke, saw the smoke, and realized that there was a fire. I'm just floored that such a thing could happen. Basic safety 101. Oh, 1,000 in the chat. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I think this is the first time we've had 1,000 in the chat for a very long time. Um, but I'm just floored. I'm floored. I'm horrified that the royals have some of the best security anybody could have, and basic things like a fire detector went missed, and that a fire could happen in the bedroom of of a royal child. And I've never heard of anything like this happening before. And what freaks me out even more is that things like this have happened before. There was the mysterious firing of the nanny when Archie was born. Thank you so much, Dorothy Ross, for the super sticker. Much appreciated, darling. And we still don't know why the nanny was fired. When Harry and Meghan were in Fiji, um, there was a breach of Meghan's security. Things they had gone to a market and things just got really heavy and out of hand. That was a very dangerous situation. That would never be allowed if it was Kate and William. And then you also had the mysterious incident of Meghan's dog's legs being broken. It's just all of these very strange things have been happening. And then to hear that Archie was possibly at risk. I don't for a second think that Meghan dropped that by accident. I think it was very deliberate. I'm glad that she did because it gives us a further window into what was going on, and it's it gives you a whole different perspective when you look back to what Harry said when he was in South Africa, talking about his protecting his family, and he will always protect his family. And Meghan and her anguish, they were made to go back out and work right after that. No time to recoup or ask questions. And, when Kate wanted to pull out of an awards event just hours before it was due to start, that was absolutely fine. Nobody said anything. So honestly, when I look at all of this, it is it is a wonder to me actually that Harry and Meghan were there for the time that they were there, because I would have left sooner. I would have left sooner. And I don't know if they didn't leave sooner because they thought it was going to get better. Um, they were trying to put things in place and felt like they couldn't leave until those things were in place, which is perfectly understandable, or they didn't understand the level of depravity, the level of betrayal that was going on at the time. One of those 3 or all of them. But it is just shocking knowing all of these things that they stayed for as long as they did. Beverly, I cannot wait to hear what our American morning shows will be saying. Well, I think the American morning shows will be sensible and balanced. It will be the UK morning shows. I mean, I don't watch them anyway, but I will not be paying too much attention to what they're going to say. And I also just find it incredible that a royal child could be potentially caught up in a fire, and not a single member of the British press said anything. They would report on Harry and Meghan farting if they knew they had farted, but you're not going to report on the fire um, when a royal child is potentially in the path of that fire. Like how? And this was the nanny, the Zimbabwean nanny. Meghan said something very sweet about the nanny, that the nanny would carry Archie in the blanket, the traditional way that African women sometimes carry the baby in the blanket, which is just adorable. You can see the joy and just how safe Meghan feels that her baby is with this woman, right? Raven, where was Archer's protection officer? Exactly. Oh yes, he doesn't have a title, so not entitled to protection. Exactly. Legs, they broke her dog's legs. 100%, I agree. Um, we honestly, there are just things that I think I don't even know if I as a squaddy, I want to know went on in the royal household. I think there's some things that, to be quite honest, I just don't want to know because what we're being fed is pretty horrendous and scary enough. But thank you so much for that, Nanny. I believe that's Diana's spirit right there. Chef Sandy, it's a shame. I think this is not ordinary, but God has the back of Harry and family. I think so too. Yes, Patty, my heart just sank as well. Thank you so much to Valerie. Oh, sorry, I thought you'd given a super sticker there. A comment. And could you provide the name of the t-shirt? Oh, it's Anthropology, darling. Anthropology. I'll post it in the community tab afterwards, but I think it's probably sold out. Elaine, thank you so much for the super sticker. And Olivia Johnson, thank you so much for the super sticker. Also, much appreciated, everyone. And we are back. Oh, sorry, guys and dolls. Oh, thank you so much to Helena. Oh, sorry, almost said your full name there. Helena L. I'm going to say Helena L for the cash app. Your girl's gonna need that to buy a new laptop. FYI, all of your super chats and super stickers and cash apps are gonna go to buy a new laptop. Oh dear. Uh, I should have just let you lot jump on and start talking while I was off. Thank you so much to Alan Vernon. Thank you so much, Mercy Thomas, for the super stickers and super chats. Okay, where were we? Yes. Oh, Dara. Remember the gentleman who said that something happened, and if you knew, you would change your opinion. Yes, 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 indeed. I do remember that. It was that. Was it Kevin Maguire? And I for the longest time, um, I what did he mean by that? What did he mean by that? And he could have meant a million things. It could have meant the way they spoke about Archie's skin color. It could have meant the way that they had their security cut from them. It could have meant so many things. But now it seems like the possibility of what he was referring to, um, what he actually meant, it could mean something far worse. Far, far worse. I really think that's something about this whole situation with Harry and Meghan is going to come out that is just going to be so devastating. Like honestly, it gives me such chills that to a certain extent, I feel like I don't even want to know, guys and dolls. I feel like I don't even want to know. Like sometimes doing this podcast, like I love the community we've built. I love that we're pushing back so much, but sometimes certain things just weigh so heavy on my heart. But for today, at least, we have something amazing to enjoy. Yes, Catherine Bird, I want merchandise for this podcast too. I mean, the branding and everything is just so on point. It's beautiful. Very, very well done, to the creative team, and it's a whole team that puts all of these things together. So well done to everyone involved in Archetypes. Let me just catch the super stickers before we continue. Yes, it was Kevin Maguire. Yes. Oro, I had to listen to it again to let it sink in. Yes. Oi, just unbelievable. And Andrea Allen, thank you so much for the super sticker, darling. Yeah, by the end of this podcast, I'll afford to buy a new laptop. Oh man, it's 2.5 years old. Like, and it's a Mac. It's getting there. But you know what it is, right? I just have to make sure now, from now on, it's just the power plug is in at all times. That's what I need to do. It can last for another 6 months. It's not a big deal. But you are all appreciated. Um, Vinny, I love how Princess Meghan dropped this little bombshell about how evil they are. Just as the Diana doc is out. Yes, inquiring minds think about the connection. And she doesn't actually accuse anyone at all. She just tells the story. She doesn't point fingers. But you're right, Vinny. We can connect the dots. Oh, thank you to Legs for all of your support. Thank you. Don't worry, my laptop isn't that bad. Like there's no duct tape, okay? We're not a deranger out here. We're absolutely fine for now. Don't worry. Jessica, yes, he said that it would be a legal issue, and it does make me wonder if there could be another lawsuit pending regarding this, because it seems like there's some really scary stuff that is yet to come out. All right, I'm just going to get through some of your comments, and then those of you who are waiting to talk in the chat, I will let you come on. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support today. and for your donations. And also to members. I think we've got about 80 members now. Thank you all. Yeah, lavender rose. I would love cups with the archetypes typography. That would be amazing. Claudia, Tina always said she thinks something happened. Yeah, I was tweeting Tina earlier today. She said the same thing. Joint Commonwealther. Maybe Oprah knows this and didn't air it. Well, as we all know, there is an extra hour of that interview that we've never seen. Yes, and Lewis, the Commonwealth is listening. Wild. Alan Vernon, not to change the subject, but do we know what the name of Harry's book is going to be? I don't believe that we do, actually. I don't believe that we do. But thank you very much again for your donation. Much appreciated. Trauma P, I think they wanted Emma and Archie wiped out. Well, given how lax they have been with their security and just care about both Meghan and Archie, it hurts to say it, but I think it's the truth. Oh, thank you so much, Girl Lewis. Towards the new computer. Much appreciated, darling. Oh, you all are so sweet. I am, guys, let me tell you, I'm dreaming of the day that I can have like a full on like podcast set up with like the mic and the with the camera and just everything, and we can proper make this podcast like a thing, like a like live with you see me, I may even get to see you. We're gonna make it big. We'll make it big, y'all. That is coming. Sylvia, we know exactly what Kevin meant, but he truly sort of defend Meghan. They all know that is why that awful person that used to work for Good Morning Britain was allowed to go after Meghan daily. Yes, piss moron. And he must know. Oh, thank you so much, Girl Lewis. Oh, you didn't have to do that. Thank you so much. Yeah, he must know. He absolutely must know. And the fact that he's been going after the Sussexes, trying to intimidate them, because he also has a court case coming up. And I have a feeling there is something about the piss moron court case with Harry that is going to bring up some dirt on the royals, and they don't want that to come out. Yes, Ben, now you wonder what happened to Diana in France. Isn't there a documentary that came out recently? Not the princess one. I saw something else trending the other day. It was investigating Diana. I think it was a Channel 4 documentary. I didn't see that, but a lot of people were talking about that and saying how, the driver was never really drunk. There are things that we weren't told. There are things that we were told that weren't true. So I think people are, starting to look into these things themselves instead of just believing what the mainstream narrative is. Olga, yes, why was a heater on in the summer in a hot country? Totally strange. Yes, Jane Commonwealth, the fingers are pointing to themselves, and the guilty are shaking it in their boots. Absolutely, Marina. Mercy, I'm afraid of Meghan going back. According to a certain reporter, people are planning to boycott the speech and mail several copies of Revenge to Harry at Frogmore. Okay, boycotting the speech, I don't think so. I think they will have some of the biggest crowds we've seen for a while for a royal. Or pretty much the biggest crowd since since Harry and Meghan left. Everywhere they went, there were crowds in the UK. So I think they'll get a great response, especially in Manchester, very diverse city. As for sending copies of revenge letters, I mean that's something that probably happens on the regular. So that's just very unfortunate, but I don't think that's anything new. In Commonwealth, right? If the comp don't have duct tape, you have not right. Oh dear. No, because the Rangers have duct tape on their computers. I'm not yet there. Yes, Legs, thank you so much. Don't forget to hit the like button, everyone. All right, I think that's enough of me chit-chatting. Thank you so much, Alima Zimmer, for the super sticker. Much appreciated, darling. I'm going to let the guests come on. I'm gonna time everyone because it is getting quite late here in the UK, and I don't want to be on for too long. So I'm gonna time everyone, give you about 3 minutes each to say your piece, and then we can have a little discussion between ourselves afterwards. But please allow for people to have their 3 minutes and have their say first. So let me just get the timer. Um, and Herndon, since you were here first, you can go first. Hello, sir. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, how are you?
Great, great. I'm glad to get on. I listen to you all the time, so I'm glad to talk to you face to face. Can you hear me?
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting. Yes, I can hear you. So, what do you think about archetypes?
It was brilliant. It was smart. It was educational. It was inspirational. And it's not just because I admire the two, it's because I like um, understanding things that I may not understand. I like understanding things that I do understand from a different perspective. It's smart. I like smart things. And it's something that the Rangers can't seem to understand is that we like the diversity. We like to understand things that we can't comprehend at one point or another. I think that I like the fact that the Megan casually drops a thing about Archie. I think she's going to do it in every episode. You know, that's an old saying about death by a thousand, cuts. I think it's going to be death by by a dozen cuts because every
Yeah.
episode is going to be something about it. And I don't think it's going to be something that she's trying to get revenge, but it ties into what the whole archetype thing's about. So she's suffered at the hands of patriarchy and racism and misogyny. So she can tie that into what she may have experienced. So I think it's great.
Mm,
I'm happy that she's there. I'm glad that she's coming into her own finally. She's going to be a powerhouse in what she does. Just continue to keep doing what she's doing, and same thing with Harry. So I think all of our fears of them being taken down I think they're unfounded now because they're getting out there, their voice is being heard and respected. Thankfully, outside of thankfully here in the U.S., we're hearing and seeing more of it. In the beginning, it was like whatever, but now they're beginning to question and to show differences between um, the coverage in the UK versus the coverage in the US, and I think they're listening to the squad. I think they're taking cues from the squad. I can tell
yes.
by just the writing, which is very different. It's still nuanced, but it's still very different from what it was just a few months ago. So I think this is their time. So I just wish them all the best success in the world.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on. Also, always great to hear Mel Squaddy's voice. It's great to know that you are all here as well. All right. Next is Karen. Hello. I got your text, Karen. How are you today?
That's good. I just worried about you because I wasn't connected at all. So I don't know if I was missing your time or what, but I haven't heard you for a while. So I just wanted to make sure you're okay.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you so
So how are you
much.
doing?
I am absolutely
Hi,
fantastic. What did you think of archetypes?
yes. Hi, squaddies. Again. Oh my. I mean to say I was not disappointed at all. I
Hmm.
always know that my girl is just awesome, just um, empowering. It's like I mean to say, she is like I have her in genius stage. Okay, this is
Hmm.
how highly I think of her. Just listen to her speeches. Just listen to um, uh, her inspiring words, her influence, um, just everything, her positiveness, just everything that she whenever she encounters or anything that she has to say, there's always
Mm.
this powerful meaning and connection and um, like embracement about it. It leaves you wanting more, and it leaves you to think about even like your own situation and how you want to change that, how you want to grow from it, and it just gives you motivation. And
Mm.
it's exactly what I expected. I got that and even more. um the stories, that and basically, that's what she is telling her experience, her life, what she's gone through, and it will incorporate her experience within that family as well too. This
Yes.
situation, like, why should that be hidden? Okay,
Yes.
why should it be hidden? Why shouldn't it be something? This is an experience that she had of almost losing her child while she's out doing their work that she wasn't
Mm.
even being paid for, right? She's just there with her husband that she loves dearly and standing with him and supporting him,
Mm.
and she's even giving back to them, helping them. And
Yes.
they didn't see the need to report this, to say anything about it. Okay.
Yeah.
um this what is it, like she said, it's hard for her to have this stiff upper lip. Of course you shouldn't have it. That's stifling. That's oppression. It's suppression. Nobody should have to have
Yes.
that. Nobody should have to have that. That is a silent killer, and you should not be silent. You should not, have to have this don't complain, or no, everybody has something to complain about, and you should complain.
Yes.
Okay, that is the only way to heal. That is the only way. Can you imagine keeping something like that inside of you and dying inside and can't even, speak about it?
Mm.
Okay, it is just sad. It is like really sad. And I always felt that there's something. I always have this feeling there's so much more, and so much more that's devastating. Okay, so much more
Mm.
that's devastating. I just have
Yes.
this feeling, and this is one of them that came out, and there's many more that's going to come out. Okay, and one of the things I'm so scared about is what have they done to her, because with all the stuff or the nastiness that they were saying about her coming from Compton, she's Harry's what girl, and on all these different stuff. Okay, they didn't regard her as nothing because she's black. What did they do? What did they do to put them? Because they were trying to find anything to dirty her up, and if they couldn't find anything, what kind of approach did they do to her? Okay,
Yeah, and do you
to
know what?
make that story up. I
Now
have
that
a
you've said
feeling
that,
there is something.
yes. Now that you've
I
said
have a
that,
feeling there is
um,
something, because they would have tried to make that happen so people can believe that she is such girl. Okay, so I feel I just have this feeling
yeah.
inside of me, and when I get there, when I got these feelings, believe me, if it's 2 years down the
Mm.
line or whatever, okay, it's going to come out.
Mm.
It's going to be true.
Yeah.
But I have this feeling inside of me that some one of them gray suit, or somebody who wants to make this story right, okay,
Mm.
try their nonsense.
Yeah,
Okay, and it
I was gonna say that it did make me think of and thank you so much for that, Karen. It did make me think of, do you all remember there were those stories that came out about Meghan not wanting to use the Queen's gynecologists? And it was these two very elderly old men, and they made a big deal out of it, like, how dare she, how dare this this woman of color not want these two old men fishing around in her vajayjay? Um, how dare she? And she picked her own nurse. And do you remember what a big deal they made out of it? They even had the pictures of the two men. When I think of all of that, it just makes me think, thank goodness she put her foot down, and thank goodness I'm sure that Harry put his foot down as well, because goodness knows what they would have done to her. It doesn't even. Oh, it's just all too awful to think about. Right, Rahini, how are you, darling?
Hello, how are you, squad? I know they're probably tired of hearing me from Baron.
Well, I haven't
Me
heard you yet,
too.
and I want to hear you.
um, you know, when I listen to this, when I listen to the podcast, I thought to myself, I am a woman of mixed race. I am overweight and I grew up poor. So I have faced a life where everybody decided who I should be. Everybody decided what my story was. Everybody decided that for me. There were these expectations. Some were good, some were bad. But the bravest of us decide that you are not going to tell my story. I will tell my story. And that is
Amen.
precisely what Megan is doing, and she has always done. You don't get to say who I am. No matter how many stories, no matter how many sources, no matter how many conspiracies you have, you cannot talk about me. You cannot. I get to tell my story. And even the idea of a royal wife, there's this image, this picture that is supposed to that they're supposed to be. And
Mm.
you have to ask yourself who decides that. Because even the queen had to fit a certain picture. And you have to ask yourself this question: how is it? I remember watching a documentary where they said, the queen has never been allowed to buy an apple. So you're trying to tell me that the most powerful woman on the in the Commonwealth, the most powerful woman most likely in the world, cannot decide for yourself, you know what? I want to go and buy an apple. Why? Because the world because a group of people decided that this is who she was supposed to be. This is what a queen is. This is what they're supposed to be. This is the image they're supposed to have. This is the story that we want to tell, right? So for all those years, this image that we have, we don't know this queen. We know what they've showed us. But Megan has decided, listen, you don't know me. You think you know me. Let me show you. And Archetypes is the perfect vehicle to do that. Because particularly as women or anybody that has felt marginalized, we have had to live this life with the world deciding who we were without giving us the opportunity. It's rare when we get the opportunity to show who we are. We always have to break down some barrier, right? Like, listen, as a woman, I am fed up of breaking glass ceilings. I'm fed up. Like, my hands hurt now. I'm tired.
Mm.
Why is it and when you listen to how Serena talked about it, you have this woman that is the best, literally the best at what she was supposed to do. Being a good athlete, she was the best. Yet still, you had all these expectations, all these ideas, all these images that she had to fit. And none of them benefited her, no. None of them benefited her. Right. And it's constantly, and I love that the Rangers are making her point for her. I love
Yes.
that the Rangers are making her point when they go after her and they constantly call her names and they don't realize, yeah, those are archetypes. And those are archetypes that you're
Yes.
giving to her,
Yes.
um, one after the other. My favorite one is a few days ago, they were going off because of the picture about Megan and her curls. And I'm like, that. So because she chose to be seen with her hair the way it comes out of her head, that you already have ideas of what type of woman she is.
Mm,
How does that make sense? How does that make sense? And the best one is them saying, oh, she's playing up she's playing up her black card because she decides to stop damaging her hair, because that's what flat ironing your hair does. It damages it. And the reason women did that is because we wanted to make white people feel less threatened. This is why we began doing it. Looking
yes,
like
and
you. So the
just
so the
imagine,
one
like,
time we decide
Megan
not to do
has,
it, oh my God.
yeah, and
Go ahead,
Megan has
sorry.
such a Megan has such a loose curl pattern. Like, it's not like the, proper 4C, very 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 curly curl pattern. That like an African person would. It's very very loose curl pattern. So the fact they would be just offended by that really says something.
It again, that's the archetype, because women with natural hair, we're a certain type. You have ideas about who we are already.
Yes.
You have ideas.
Yes.
You have a preconceived notion of who I am. You haven't heard me speak, you haven't heard my voice, but you have that
Yes. And
already by
yes.
it.
And
It's ridiculous.
black hair is very politicized. We know this.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. And the first thing they said, well, she had her hair straight, and now so she decided to give it a rest. She decided to do what every single other woman of color does. Once in a while, you go with protective style and you leave it alone for a little while so that you can still have hair on your head, right? But if we try to explain, you see, they don't know this. They haven't taken the time to learn this about us, because that part of who we are is irrelevant. They don't need to know it. They don't need to see it. So what I love is that the Rangers are making a point. Every time you call her name, you had a stereotype about her before you met her. She's straight out of
Yes.
Compton. She's a D-list actress. She doesn't have any friends. All of these things were ideas that you have, and none of them are in truth. When the story about Megan making Kate cry came out, nobody questioned, nobody stopped to say, but it was Megan's wedding. Are we sure why was Kate crying in Megan's wedding? They didn't like
Yes.
each other. They weren't family. They weren't even friends. Why was she involved? Nobody asked that. But immediately, because of Megan's blackness, it was enough for you to believe it. Because that stereotype of the helpless white woman in the face of the towering black woman who is yelling and screaming at you was enough for you to believe. And this is why the stories of bullying, when all the evidence
Mm,
shows that she actually worked, it makes them look bad. And you're
yes.
still believing it. Why? Because that archetype is
Yes.
typical. It is typical, and it is so familiar to all of us. No, I really don't. I don't want to talk about the Archie situation, because every time I hear it, I get
Mm,
angry inside. And then, like I said, the typical angry black woman will come out. But at this point, I believe, Karen, that there is more, and there was a
yes.
specific sinister plot to harm Megan and her
Yes.
children. And we see that the stories about Diana that have been coming out, because one story that they have been totally wrong about Princess Diana was that she wasn't seatbelt, which from the beginning that was a lie, because that was one of the reasons they could not get her out of the car, because of the
Mm,
seatbelt, and where it was jammed, they could not get her out of the vehicle. So I'm like, if she's strapped in, that might be why they can't get her out, and they were talking about that, right? She could. So this idea that she wasn't seatbelt is not true. or that the guy was drunk. That was not true either. Early on, and now
Yes.
slowly we're getting those facts to come out. So I know in my heart of hearts that there was a plot. I don't know if it was the royal family. The only member that I could see that would do that is William himself, because my opinion of him is really low. I think he's a grimy, despicable human being, and the day that he becomes king is going to be the saddest day. And Britain probably better be they are lucky that the royal family is now ceremonial, because he would be a tyrant. You would have a dictator on
Yes.
your hands. You understand? If he really wields any royal power, because he's a grimy little man. But I can tell you, I know in my spirit that there was a plan. They sat down because they saw her as a threat. They saw her as a
Yes.
threat when they realized that, okay, this is not just a date. This is not just a girl. This is serious. And it's tied into the fact that they knew that Harry was going to leave, and they knew he wanted to leave. They knew he wanted out. And they knew that she would give him the courage to do it. And as time go by, this truth is gonna come out. It's going to come out,
Yes.
and it's gonna be sad. So just before I go, I want to say that I'm really trying to do this podcast thing. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my gosh. So
Oh, you
Karen, we're
want to
gonna
start one?
email. I am, and it's gonna be called what did I say? The Rebel Royalist. That's it. Nobody don't steal my
Amazing.
name. We're gonna do it,
Karen and
and
Rahini,
Karen,
the
we're gonna
Rebel
do it. We're
Royalists.
gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Hopefully this week. I think I'm gonna. But here's a question: Could I like play parts of the podcast and then review it while I'm playing it? Could I do that, or is that like
Oh,
copyright?
you mean for I think there's like creative like comment, like you can use like things like bits and pieces for things, but we can talk about that in private if you wanted
Okay, no
after that.
problem.
But congratulations for starting a new podcast with you and Karen. I can't wait to hear it. Make sure you go and check that out, everyone. And thank you so much for your words, Rahini. Every single one with a dose of truth, the truth, and nothing but the truth. I love every single thing that you
Rahina, you're
said,
so right.
because
And just
it's sorry, Karen, just hang on a sec. And I also just wanted to say, oh gosh, I lost my trail of thought there. Yeah, it's very obvious that they did see Meghan as a threat, and it's just sad to see William take on such a basically take on that dark side of the crown, and just be more aligned to the crown than he is to his own family and to his mother's memory. And I'm sure that especially now with the new HBO documentary coming out, more people are going to be connecting the dots. And yes, Rahini, I think you're right. I think that Meghan will drop more bombs and more shockwaves. I just want to give Joe Blogs a chance to talk before we do a wrap up talk. So anybody else that wanted to say anything coming
Just
after?
one thing before I go, because
Go
I have
on.
to go now to get to work. To the squaddies who wondering why there was a heater in the tropics at night, it gets really cold. Don't be fooled by it
Okay.
being hot in the day. At night, it actually gets really temperature drops. Really, really, it gets really cold at night in the hottest places. It's weird. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. Thank you so much for letting us know. All right, Joe Blogs, thank you so much for waiting patiently.
That's
You can
all right,
talk.
Anne. Thank you so much for having me. I just want to check first of all that you're breathing and you're okay.
Yes, I am breathing and I am okay. MI5
Because when I
have
saw
not.
it today, they haven't got you. My first thought was, oh my God, how is Anne? How is Anne? How is Anne?
I can tell you that my blood pressure is fine, and my power did not go because MI5 have come to take me away, so I'm fine.
Okay. And your hyperventilation has stopped.
Yes, my ventilation has stopped. Yes. Thank you so
Oh
much.
gosh, Anne, where do I start? First of all, thank you so much for everything that you do. I can't
Sure,
thank you
darling.
guys enough. I think it's
Can't thank you
fair to
enough either.
say Meghan is a phenomenal woman of substance. And this is where I feel the institution, firm, family, brand, call it what you will, haters, feel threatened. There is nothing about Meghan that's mediocre. And
Yes.
let's be clear, they would have researched her to within an inch of her life before approving the marriage. So they knew what they were getting. I think they were banking on using her status to elevate themselves. But Meghan being Meghan was like, no, I know who I am. I don't need you to define who I am. And as everyone has said so far, the minute you put your foot down with a firm hand, even with a gentle tap, you become a problem. Anything her counterpart done would have been seen as confident, assured, assertive. Whereas with Meghan, it's the angry black woman. And there's nothing that frustrates me more when I hear some people of color saying, well, Meghan doesn't represent me. She doesn't speak for me. She only now knows that she's black because the shit has hit the fan. Well, every day Meghan gets up and she looks in the mirror and she looks at her mum. She knows she is a woman of color. She knows that. She lives that. She's had her struggles, which has brought home that message time and time again. I think there was also a hope that she would be so grateful for this opportunity, being married to Harry and into this institution, that she would do anything and everything just to be accepted, rather than thinking, actually, do you know what? We need to modernize, and this is a perfect example of how we can modernize by utilizing the gifts that Harry and Meghan brought. We know the history of the spare can never overshadow the heir. And I think Harry is sensible enough to have observed his Auntie Margaret's life, to have observed Andrew's life, and decided, actually, I don't like this model, and I'm not going to follow this. I mean, anybody who'd been paying attention would have known Harry wanted to leave from a very long time ago. I think Harry was very strategic in who he chose as his wife. Because had he married an English rose, had he even married a girl from South Africa who was white, she would have come over and she would have just slotted in, fitted in to the Stepford wife role, and he would have had no escape. He would have had no way of escaping. So Harry was really strategic in choosing the two things that he knew would help him to get out of there: a person of mixed heritage and an American. When you look at their lives, the parallels are uncanny. And there is I just cannot see any other way that Harry would have fallen for anybody else. What people don't like about Meghan is that she represents everything that they do not measure up to. She's intelligent, she's self assured, she's confident, she's a hard worker, she's not afraid of work. She's not afraid to use her brain. She's not afraid to think. She's solution focused. She looks for answers and resolutions to problems. It's not enough for her to just pitch up, smile, wave, and go. Because what's the point of me attending somewhere if I'm just going to smile and go, oh, nice to meet you, and go along? No, I can see there's a problem here. Let me think of how I can help these people find a solution that will help them. And if you look at the family, that's not what they are about. They're not about solutions. They're not about focusing on helping anybody else. It's purely just about themselves. And I kept thinking, for an institution that's meant to be over 1,000 years old, what is it you think that this young woman could come in and change your institution? But the more I thought about it, Alan, the more I reflected, I could see why they would be feeling threatened by Meghan. Because she's not going to sit in a corner and bite her tongue and be grateful and be yes, sir, no, sir, 3 bags full, sir. And, the more I think about it, Anne, I think about when I think about the bullying claim, and then when I was listening to the podcast today, and I was thinking about all the things that were going on with Archie and the dog's legs being broken. My opinion is things were going on that were not making sense to Meghan. And she probably said to the staff, okay, I would like to get to know my team. I would like to get to know who everybody is, what they do, how we can work better. They are not used to that. They're not used to people that they work for interacting with them as if they're humans. So everything Meghan did is a problem. Because if
Yes.
Kate did the same thing, it would. I mean, could you imagine if Kate had pitched up with Meghan's credentials? Can we just imagine what that would have been received and put out as? The fact is, none of them measures up.
Yes.
None of them measures up. And when
They
you
were
think about,
never even looking for a woman with credentials in the first place.
no,
So they can't, years later, when you now have this extraordinary woman come in, you're jealous. Well,
of
you never
course,
set a standard that a
standard.
modern royal woman had to be accomplished anyway. You wanted a mannequin, and that's what you
Exactly.
got.
You wanted somebody that you could mold into, and I think that they're used to people coming into the institution who is just so in awe of them. And we see this every day with Kate. I remember, we sat here and we watched William and Kate's wedding, and we were so happy. We were so happy for this couple because it was like, oh my word, Diana's son is getting married. We sat here,
Yes,
we were all in tears. We were so happy. He,
yes,
he had so much promise in this couple. And they came into the fold when they had one of the most revolutionary things at their hands, the invention of the internet. And we were so excited what they were going to do. But the next thing we knew, babies were on the way. They had given them 2 years off after the marriage. Babies 1, 2 came along. First, it was the morning sickness, and that was the biggest hoo-ha. And then I
oh
kept
yes, I
thinking, but
remember that.
yeah, what do they actually do? When does maternity leave end?
Do
Whereas with
you
Meghan,
feel like now? Sorry. Do you feel like now, because of everything that we know and understand about the Royal Rota and how it works and how the
mhm,
press works, do you sometimes feel yourself going back and thinking about a lot of the things that you've read and you thought you knew about the royal family pre-Meghan?
no, because I was aware of it round about
Right.
Diana time.
Okay.
And first of
Okay.
all, I thought, why is a 19-year-old marrying a 30-something? To me, that made no sense. It made absolutely no sense. But I went out, I bought the book, I bought the T-shirt, I bought the handbag, I bought the umbrella, we had the bunting out, and we thought it was something genuine. But then a lot of things didn't make sense. And I remember saying to my mum, I don't think this is going to last. I said, and I would not be surprised if they get a divorce and Charles marries Camilla. And everyone thought I was crazy. That will never happen.
Really?
The Queen would not allow it. Britain would not allow it. I said, at the end of the day, I think it was wrong, the position they put that innocent girl in. I said, I really wish they had just allowed him to marry the woman he loved. Because let's be real, he loved Camilla. There's no denying that.
Hmm.
There's absolutely no, but to put that young woman through that, and then you could see things changing, and then you would be hearing the stories in the press, and you're thinking, but what they're writing just didn't connect with who we could see she was. And then with her being paranoid and throwing herself down the stairs and the morning sickness, and then she started to lose the weight. And I kept thinking something is just not right. Something isn't right.
Very wrong.
And then
Yeah.
when Sarah came into the fold, very bold, gregarious, confident person, and then that kind of went south, I thought, well, hold on a
Yeah.
minute. There's something else going on here. And you could see she'd cut her hair, she'd lost weight, she did everything she thought would stand her in a better stead, and nothing was good enough. And in order to keep on par with her husband, she started flying. She took flying lessons. She got her helicopter pilot's license. Nothing changed. Now, I think I always say, if you disagree with one person, clash of personalities. Two people, clash of personalities. Three people, then you start to ask questions. You start to think, well, actually, I need to start practicing some introspection here because there's something not quite right. There's something not right. But every time something happened, it was always the women who were being blamed.
Yes.
I remember clearly Edward going to join the Navy or whatever, and then after 4 months, he quit because he couldn't hack it. He was going on to the theatre, he quit that. So something was just not adding up. And then
Yes.
along
Math
comes
wasn't
Meghan.
nothing.
Yes, educated, confident, assertive, just knowing who she was. She didn't need to be molded into anything. And there was a part of me that thought Kate liked having her around because it was almost like having an ally. But I think William was the one who was not happy about that. I think
Yes,
Kate
because
thought at the beginning, I might have some company here.
yeah, some company, somebody to give me confidence. Because
Exactly,
I'm sure
exactly,
Megan is a type of she's a type of woman, I think, that would tell you if your man was acting up.
exactly, exactly. Or she'd say, girl, pull yourself up. This is what you need to be doing for you. Don't just
Yeah.
depend on him. And I don't think that would have gone down well with William. And that's why he had this angst about this girl. Well, this wasn't
Yes.
just any girl that Harry picked up from anywhere. And it's and people often say, oh well, Britain's not a racist. Well, come on, I was born in this country. I've lived here all my life. I know what I see. And it's the
Mm,
subtleties that come
yes.
through. You see it with Meghan.
Yes.
You see all the subtleties.
Absolutely.
You would have researched her background. There's no mud to throw at her. So we've got to find something to pick at. So it was her hair, it was her look. She was almost straight out of Compton. Her mum was a
Yeah.
Rastafarian with a nose ring who, quote unquote, had gone to prison for whatever reason. But the beautiful
Yes.
thing about Meghan is that she has remained silent. She said what she had to say on Oprah, and she has remained silent since then.
Mm.
What's
And
been
they're
happening
speaking for
now?
themselves.
Exactly, they are outing themselves. And again, it's the paranoia about what is she going to say next? Because don't forget, her and Harry have had a, well, Harry grew up behind the curtain. She has had a look behind the curtain. She has lived behind the curtain. And if anybody knows what it's like as an outsider, she would know. So it's this fear of she wasn't going to go quietly like Diana. We couldn't mold her like we could have molded Kate. She is going to be the one that's going to stand up and speak and say, actually, no, I don't agree with that. This is my
Mm.
opinion. And I noticed something also started to change when she took that trip with the Queen on the train. And you could see they had a really, really good rapport. And I was looking at this and I'm thinking, this isn't going to go down very well at all.
Yeah,
Because
and
we always knew.
now that you said that, it does make me think, is that when kind of the men in grey suits started to become even more toxic when they saw not only, does it seem like Meghan and the Queen get on well in public, but that was received quite well in public, if that got their backs up even more as well.
Yes, I truly believe so. I truly believe so. Because don't forget, Harry was always the favourite grandson. We've always known that. It was never questioned. I mean, you could see the rapport they had, the gimmicky things he did with his grandmother. So we could see how much she loved him, and perhaps she felt she was protecting him and giving him a bit of extra attention as the spare. Um, but there was there just seemed to be this festering. There was because I didn't see for the length of time Kate had been in the family, there wasn't that rapport with the Queen.
Queen,
It was
yes,
always very formal, whereas there
yes,
was an informality and a genuine connectivity I saw between her and the Queen, and I thought, this is not going to go down well. This is not going to bode well with a lot of people. And
absolutely.
it was probably felt that she would have had some influence over the Queen in the things that she would have been allowed to do. And
Maybe,
that
yes,
would have not
that is also, yeah, that is also a very good
boded well.
point. And thank you
Yeah.
for all of your points, Joe Blogs. The chat is absolutely loving you. I am loving everything you all have to say, and I think I will definitely turn your individual sections, if you don't mind, into mini shorter podcasts and repost them all, because you have just been dropping gold all evening. Thank you so much for that, Joe Blogs. I'm going to let Miss September speak, and then we will wrap up the podcast. Hello, Miss September.
Hello, I'm calling from the USA in Maryland.
Oh, Marilyn,
Yeah,
lovely.
I
Thank you
know
so
it's
much
late
for
in
that.
England, but I just got off. I just listened to the podcast, and I was so excited when I saw it. And I just want to say, Megan looks fantastic in the black and white photo of
Yes.
her on Archetype. I was like, oh my gosh! But just listening to her, she dropped a few bombs when she talked about Compton and how Serena's like Kevin Costner grew up in Compton, and she said Google it, and so I Googled it, and sure enough, he was. So and
Yeah,
she goes, but what's wrong with Compton? There's nothing wrong with Compton. It
exactly.
developed, yeah, Serena, and I just loved it, and also the fact that Megan said that they were at the Super Bowl and she noticed Serena and she was like, "Oh, that's Serena. I wonder who she's going to talk to." And she turned around and Serena was standing behind her talking to her. And so
Yes.
that only proves that guy who I'm not going to mention his name who wrote that trash book that Serena and Megan were friends. That's a lie.
Yes.
And it was proven hands down right here. They said they talk
Yes.
all the time, they FaceTime all the time.
Oh yeah,
He
Harry was in the house
yeah,
coming up. Sorry, sorry, Serena was in the house talking to Harry.
yeah. And she goes, "What are you guys talking about all this time?" And the fact that she even told Megan what her plans were, and Megan was like, she didn't say nothing or anything like that. And then when it came out or whatever. But yeah, Megan, yeah, she's a good friend. She's a good friend, and I'm so excited for this podcast.
Yeah.
You cannot believe. I was cooking dinner and listening to it and laughing at the same time. I'm like, this is so good. And when she was telling me about Archie and the fire and
Mm,
the lady, just she said she strapped him on her back with that cloth that they use to strap babies on their backs, and she just instead. I'm thinking, how weird for them to put a baby in a spot where they didn't have a smoke detector, because they scout these things out beforehand.
yes.
So that's just that just seems a little suspicious to me, and yeah, just weird. But I don't have a whole lot to say, but I've been following you and everybody else for a long time, and I listen all the time, and I appreciate what you do and everything. And I just
Thank
had to
you.
jump in and express myself about the podcast. I'm just so excited. I bet I'm sorry, Salt Island as they call it. I bet they are up in arms about this podcast.
Indeed.
They probably can't stand it, but yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I mean, I have a whole lot to say, but my thoughts are not, you know, in the right place right now. But yeah, I appreciate everything you do and how you keep people in check. But appreciate it. So
Oh, and I
that's all I had to
appreciate
say.
you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
I
you
was.
too, darling. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'll jump on again when everything happens again. So you take care.
Thank you. And I have to say, I forgot to mention this actually. Thank you for bringing it up, Miss September. That whole Compton thing, I do very much feel like it was a little bit of a clapback, right? At the whole, Megan being straight out of Compton and that very classist attitude towards, where people come from and where their background, sorry, what their background is. And there just seems to be, because of the class system here in Britain, it's okay to praise people and put them on a pedestal because of who their daddy and mummy is, but a normal working class person that perhaps came from a much less privileged upbringing, there's the attitude of bring them down, how dare they, when actually it's a person that comes from the working class upbringing and becomes the greatest of all time. That's what we absolutely should be praising. But that is what the establishment, especially here in the UK, and the class system here does not like. They do not want that. And even when you do make it to the top, and you are the top of your fields, whether you're best-selling artist Adele, whether you're the best Formula One driver of all time, Lewis Hamilton, you still have to bow down to the tampon prince. I just find that absolutely unbelievable. And with that, we will bring the podcast to a close. I'm just blown away by the whole podcast, the way it was put together. And thank you all so much for your input. And please do go and make sure that you leave a review, so that the reviews can be at least 4.5 star. It deserves a 5 star. We all know that, but the trolls will get in there as well. So we'll just finish with your comments, and then we'll call it a day. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to the mods. You have been amazing today, and thank you, everyone, so much for being so generous. Appreciate you all. And next week, because the podcast will be released week on week, it's Mariah Carey. In the preview, I also heard Mindy Kaling's voice, and I did hear Simone Biles' voice in the original trailer, but I don't know if that means that she's going to be on. And there's also another lady, I think she's a comedian or some kind of host. But she's someone that I don't know much about her, but from the little that I have read about her, she's somebody that doesn't hold her tongue. And I don't think Meghan would have invited women who are very outspoken and told them to hold their tongues on this podcast. So let's wrap things up. And yes, can't wait. We will have an episode every week for 10 or 11 weeks, and all of the amazing activities in September. It's going to be wonderful. London Lady, yes, Serena and Meghan have been friends for years, and there's no doubt about that now. And I just love that all of the narratives that the British press come up with are just naturally unraveling. You can't keep riding on lies. And to everyone who spoke today, let me just say, give me a sec. You are all amazing. Gwendolyn, I love the way Harry and Serena get along. Yes. And nobody can say that they don't have social lives, that they don't have friends. They absolutely do. Yes, light side of the moon. Throwing shade at them very subtly, using their own words against them. Love, love, love it. Love it. Yes, and Meghan herself wasn't even from Compton, but Serena is, and many great people are from areas that aren't necessarily rich, wealthy, privileged areas. In fact, there's almost something to be said about when you've been through hardships, it makes you work even harder because you don't have the comforts. Thank you, Jen Hickey. All great speakers. I love having you all on. Yes, Danica, the monarchy has not evolved from the way they protect the crown out of fear. There's a very interesting moment in the Princess HBO documentary where you have Diana's voice, and she's talking about the way in which the monarchy needs to change, and even though change is scary, it's always good to evolve. And while she's speaking, the clip that they're showing is the royals, the Queen, and I think also Margaret, I think the Queen Mother, Edward, all dancing, and it's just that very kind of like old-fashioned circle dancing at a royal ball, and just Diana's words being played next to this very, very, just very old-fashioned scene. It really speaks for itself, and it's just very, very powerful. If you haven't watched the Princess HBO documentary, make sure you do. Oh, thank you to the trolls for visiting us. Is that why we have over 1,100 listeners today? Because the trolls are in here. All right, who is going to get the last word of the day? Benjamin, so H&M did hold back quite a lot. Oh, yes. I'm sure there is so much that they are holding back. All right, Bonnie, I'm going to give you the last word of the day. Great podcast and great guest speakers and a great audience tonight as well. You all make the show. Man, Mariah Carey next week. I'm so interested to see what Mariah Carey has to say. Will she bring up Nick Cannon? That would be interesting because Mimi, when she wants to throw shade and she doesn't want to hold back, she doesn't hold back. But yeah, let's see what Archetypes next week brings, and I'm sure that the Derangers will be obsessing over this all week. But yeah, they can obsess with us because they're fans as well. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Ciao.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.
I know I messed it up, but in my soul, I feel a love for you that's out of control. Sometimes I feel like I can make you whole. I just can't change my emotions. There isn't anything I wouldn't do to prove that everything I say is true. And if you let me, I'll keep loving you. I just can't change my emotions. Come on, love me again.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know, certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.